My name is Teresita Blanco, the Artsy sister, and we're reading Saturnastra, Karina. This is Lesson 1, Part 4. Never mind this number. Part 4. What is a sleeper? Asked Casimir. A sleeper is a powerful ancient being. Every living creature can give birth to something that may become one. When a person sleeps, they gain cosmic power from the balance of creation. It is the place you call the dream world. When they awake, their bodies and minds are nourished. Sleepers have a stronger connection to the dream world, and sometimes their dreams bleed into reality. When a sleeper is actively dreaming in the physical world, he is called a dreamer. They are not malevolent by nature, since they refuse to wake, and the fact that they have turned their backs on the real world makes it hard for them to tell if they are in this world or in the dream world, explained Karina. Why is this important? Asked another fellow. Because I'm getting to that. At the moment, there is an active dreamer among us. You can tell who the person is by the way it talks, their behavior, and the way they just sort of appear on you. And yet you feel as if he has been walking with you for quite a bit. They have a certain fast psychic or mental influence among lesser life forms, and if angered they get violent and will show no pity because nothing is true in dreams. And since they think this is a dream world and not real, then your death will not mean a thing to him. And since this dream can be any of your students, but not me, since I know who I am, and you have no choice but to be nice to each other, concluded Karina. So basically, like, don't be a jerk to one another because you don't know if there's like a crazy dreamer among you guys that can like instant KO you. You get me?
Yeah.
That's why all of that ran is that was the amalgamation of everything. Be nice to each other. You know what I think? I think you're here looking for a new hobby. You may be a princess, but what you're teaching us is a waste of time, said a different fellow. Karina flushed and said, "How dare you call me on my BS? Do that again and I will flunk you so fast." The student who was calling Karina on her nonsense got up, and he was followed by the other 17 students. Only the 5 named students remained. With them gone, Karina smiled and she breathed a sigh of relief. She then said, "What a bother. They just came here to try to humiliate me. And even if I had taught them the way as others do, they would still criticize me." "Are you really a mind reader?" asked Lucian. "Yes," said Karina, shrugging her shoulder. "I am a good guesser." "So this bizarre lesson was just to get rid of the troublemakers," asked Janus. "I suppose. They will now return home with their own little stories and use their own little reports to turn this free class into a political thing to use against my brother or whatever. Schemers gotta scheme," said Karina. "But what do these brats have against your brother?" asked Casimir. "Have you been living under a rock?" asked Carmeta. "Sorry, I was never much into politics," said Casimir. "There's nothing to tell," said Carmeta. "Rulers come and go, but nothing ever changes. What you're seeing is just the ancient struggle between the nobility and the monarchy." Karina came to Casimir and she patted his head, as she did with most children. Smiling, she said, "Don't worry your pretty little head. As long as my brother has absolute control over the army, the nobility can't do a thing. An empire without its army is like a person without legs. And that legless person is helpless and can't get very far, and he lives under the mercy and charity of others. And as you know, the world is very merciful or charitable with the weak." The students were thoughtful for a bit. Janus was down the thing about the army. He thought that he could help his father with his new information. Currently, Flammer was working on making the nobility more pious and to make his code stronger, and Janus realized that they should instead focus on the army. "Well, I think we should return back to the main subject of our conversation," said Karina. "So you're finally gonna give a real lesson at Babiso?" "That was a legitimate lesson. In my home we tell stories and then we try to get some sort of moral lesson out of it or whatever," said Karina. "So what's the lesson here?" asked Babiso. "Well, let me ask you a question. In my story, who performed the deviant behavior?" asked Karina. The son of the superior, the guy who turned out to be a dreamer, said Janus. For being a priest's son, you don't have an intuitive grasp of what is good and evil. You do, you. You disappoint me, said Karina. The problem was the spies who were torturing a man because it was mildly inconvenient to the superior, said Casimir. Bingo, said Karina. She reached into her pocket and she brought out a chocolate chip cookie. I am glad that somebody's getting it. For homework, I want you to read pages 71, 91, and 732. The logic of the story applies to these new laws. And once you read the lot of them, then you will understand, and you will know how to behave yourself in the probabilic realm in the near future. The students wrote down the number of pages, and afterwards they logged out of there with their extremely large law books. Time?
9 minutes.
Marduke had mass-produced a book with the new laws of the land, and no longer could citizens excuse their crimes by saying that they were not aware that they did something illegal. Alright, this is the end of lesson 1. Bye-bye and God bless.